Opel Rekord E, 1977–86. The Opel Rekord Series E is an executive car that replaced the Rekord D on Opel's Rekord E production lines in August 1977, following the end of the summer vacation plant shutdown. It shared its wheelbase and inherited most of its engines from its predecessor, but the bodies were completely new. In October 1982, the Rekord D was extensively reworked, retaining the central portion of the body, the same windows and the principal elements of the substructure, but with redesigned front and back ends, and with several significant new engines. The pre- and post-facelift versions are commonly referred to as the E1 and E2, respectively. The Rekord E's 9-year production run was far longer than that of any previous generation of Opel Rekord. It became the third Opel Rekord to exceed 1 million units produced, but it took longer to reach that target than its predecessor. By now, eye-watering increases in fuel prices had persuaded many middle-market customers to downsize. The Opel Rekord was perceived as a large family car even in its West German home market where, traditionally, family cars were a little larger than in Southern Europe. The Rekord, and later the Omega, would also come under pressure from the entry-level models of German luxury brands such as BMW, Audi and Mercedes-Benz, the beginning of an industry trend which would, by the end of the 1990s, see mass-market brands abandon the D/E segment completely. The Rekord D was sold in the UK badged as the Vauxhall Carlton, initially identified by a reworked bonnet, hood panel, and after 1982 differentiated by little more than the badges. Despite the UK branding, the Carltons were all produced at Rekord E, leaving Vauxhall's British plants to concentrate on Cavaliers, Chevrets, Vivas and their successors. The car was developed by Opel and a direct development of a succession of previous Opel Rekords, but during the closing decades of the 20th century General Motors displayed a growing strategic interest in internationalizing their products, and the underpinnings of the Rekord E became known as the General Motors V platform. Cars based on the Rekord E, V platform, were also built at several General Motors plants outside Europe. Despite sharing its wheelbase and, at least initially, its engine range with the car it replaced, the Opel Rekord E as launched at the 1977 Frankfurt Motor Show was slightly wider, slightly longer, slightly higher and, with larger windows, significantly heavier than the Opel Rekord D. Inside it was noticeably more spacious. Plaudits for the technologically impressive, though commercially unsuccessful, NS Euro 80, introduced in 1968, had prompted a revived interest in aerodynamics among West German automakers, and the Rekord E came with claims of an improved drag coefficient of 0.42 CD. In 1982 the facelifted E2 version was released with drag coefficient of 0.36. Of a generally smoother appearance, this version featured redesigned, more aerodynamic front and rear ends, and a reshuffling of engines and equipment levels. The E2 Vauxhall Carltons were distinguishable from Opel Rekords only by their badging, with no sheet metal differences present. For UK consumers, the Rekord D1-based Vauxhall Carlton was identified by a droop-snood bonnet, hood. The Rekord E plant produced both right-hand drive Rekords and Carltons which, until 1981, competed with each other in the United Kingdom. Two-door sedans and three-door station wagons still represented a significant proportion of Opel Rekord production. Most buyers of the estate station wagon nevertheless opted for a second set of doors, permitting direct access for the backseat passengers. This is the Vauxhall Carlton version of the estate station wagon. The monocoque steel-bodied cars offered seating for 5. The top seller was the saloon sedan. It was available with either 2 or 4 doors, although by now the West German market, which had for many years retained an appetite for larger cars with just 2 doors, was becoming more like the other major auto markets of Western Europe in expecting cars the size of the Rekord to provide rear seat passengers with their own doors. The 4-door Rekord comfortably outsold its 2-door sibling. Saloon production was 769,086 cars, split between 127,544 2-door cars and 641,542 4-door cars. Opel Rekord E1 Caravan, Estate/station wagon, production was 167,501 cars, of which 26,652 are three-door models and 140,849 were five-door ones. Opel also offered a three-door delivery van combining the driving experience of a car with the load-carrying capability of a small commercial vehicle. This was in most respects identical to the station wagon except that the rear side windows were replaced with metal panels. This configuration of vehicles offered self-employed small traders tax advantages in some countries. 30,477 Kastenlieferwagen, delivery van, Opel Rekord E1s were produced. This version was also assembled in Indonesia, with either petrol or diesel 2-liter engines. Built from 1980 until 1988, it was possible to register this as a commercial vehicle, although the majority of cars delivered would immediately have rear windows and seats installed. For the first time since 1961, no Opel Rekord E was listed. However, customers wishing to enjoy style at the expense of rear seat headroom had not been abandoned to the competition, having been catered for since September 1970 by the company's stylish new Manta.